I am Mr. Eugene, and today we're addressing one of the most painful, most common, and most deliberately ignored crises in modern marriage, the dead bedroom. The relationship where physical intimacy has disappeared, where requests for sex are met with rejection so consistently that most men eventually stop asking, where the woman who once desired him, or at least performed desire convincingly, now treats his sexual needs as an inconvenience at best and an imposition at worst. And here's the question that sits in every man's mind in this situation, but that most men are too afraid to ask directly: does she actually have no sexual desire at all? Or does she just have no sexual desire for me specifically? Because those are two completely different problems requiring completely different solutions. And understanding which one you're dealing with is the prerequisite for addressing it effectively, or for recognizing that it cannot be addressed and the relationship is fundamentally broken. Let me frame this as clearly as possible. If she would enthusiastically have sex with George Clooney or Idris Elba or Tom Brady or whatever celebrity represents peak male attractiveness to her, but she won't have sex with you, then her problem is not low libido. Her problem is that she's not attracted to you. And no amount of couples therapy or date nights or rekindling the romance is going to fix an attraction problem that fundamental. You're not dealing with circumstances that need adjusting. You're dealing with her actual feelings about you. And those feelings are telling you something you need to hear, even though hearing it is devastating. Today, we're going to examine this issue with complete honesty. We're going to diagnose what's actually happening. We're going to identify which category your situation falls into. And we're going to discuss what can actually be done about it. And when the honest answer is that nothing can be done and you need to make very different decisions, this is not comfortable. But it's necessary. Because living in a sexless marriage while pretending the problem is something other than what it actually is will destroy you slowly from the inside. You deserve better than that. So stay with me. The diagnostic questions: what kind of dead bedroom are you in? Let me give you the framework for understanding what's actually happening in your relationship. Because not all dead bedrooms are the same, and the type you're dealing with determines what, if anything, can be fixed. Question 1. Did she ever enjoy sex at all with anyone? Some women have genuinely low libido. They don't experience strong sexual desire with anyone. This is not common, but it exists. The woman who has never really enjoyed sex, who has always viewed it as a chore or an obligation, who participated in it early in relationships because she understood it was expected but never derived genuine pleasure from it. This woman has a physiological or psychological issue that predates you. If this is your situation, she likely used sex as a tool to secure commitment from you. She performed sexual availability and enthusiasm long enough to lock you into marriage. Once that commitment was secured, once she had the ring, the house, the financial stability, the children, whatever it was she was actually after, the performance ended because the job was done. This is transactional in the most cynical way possible. And it's also nearly impossible to fix because you cannot create genuine sexual desire in someone who doesn't experience it. You can negotiate for duty sex. You can create obligation. You can generate guilt-driven compliance. But you cannot create actual desire, and sex without desire is not sex. It's a humiliating performance where both of you know she's doing you a favor rather than wanting you. Question 2, did she ever enjoy sex with you specifically? This is where it gets more painful. Some women genuinely enjoyed sex with previous partners but have never enjoyed it with you. They entered the relationship hoping that sexual attraction would develop. They told themselves, he's a good guy, he treats me well, he'll be a good provider. Sexual spark isn't there, but maybe it will grow. And besides, sex isn't that important. This is the settling scenario. She chose you for practical reasons: your stability, your earning potential, your willingness to commit, your character. While never actually being sexually attracted to you, she hoped that sexual desire would follow emotional connection. It didn't. And now she's in a marriage where she has affection for you, perhaps even loves you, but experiences no sexual pull toward you whatsoever. If this is your situation, she tried. She genuinely tried to make herself want you sexually. And she couldn't. And the longer this goes on, the more repulsive the idea of sex with you becomes because she's been forcing herself through something she doesn't want for years. Every time she complied out of obligation, she built more resentment. Every time she had to manufacture enthusiasm she didn't feel, she moved further from the possibility of ever feeling it. This situation is also nearly unfixable. You cannot negotiate genuine attraction into existence. You cannot logic someone into desiring you. Either the chemistry is there or it isn't. And if it was never there, it's not going to spontaneously appear a decade into marriage. Question 3. Did she used to enjoy sex with you, but stopped? This is the scenario that has the most possibility for intervention. This is the woman who was genuinely attracted to you early in the relationship, who initiated sex, who was enthusiastic about it, who made you feel desired rather than tolerated. And then something changed. The frequency decreased. The enthusiasm disappeared, the initiation stopped. Sex went from something she wanted to something she occasionally permits to something she actively avoids. If this is your situation, something about you or the relationship shifted her perception of your value, and that shift killed her attraction. This could be behavior-based. You stopped taking care of yourself physically. You became passive or weak in ways that disgust her. You failed tests of your masculinity that she needed you to pass. Or it could be relationship-based. She felt betrayed or disrespected or neglected in ways that destroyed her ability to be vulnerable with you sexually. This scenario has potential for recovery if you can identify what changed and if you can restore whatever she was responding to initially. But the recovery is not guaranteed and the effort required is substantial. And in many cases, the damage is too deep or has lasted too long to reverse. The alternative possibility nobody wants to consider, and then there's the possibility that sits in every man's mind, but that most are too afraid to investigate. Maybe her sexual desire didn't disappear. Maybe it just redirected towards someone else. If she used to be sexual, she's not physiologically incapable of desire, if nothing about her life circumstances explains a complete absence of sexuality, then the question becomes, where is that sexuality going? The answer, in too many cases, is that it's going to someone else. She's having an affair. She's getting sexual and emotional fulfillment outside the marriage. And the sex she's withholding from you is the sex she's giving to him. This is the scenario that destroys men most completely, not just because of the betrayal, but because it confirms what he feared. She's capable of desire. She's capable of enthusiasm. She's capable of initiating and wanting and responding, just not with you, with him. If you have evidence suggesting this, unexplained absences, changes in grooming habits, increased phone privacy, emotional distance combined with occasional guilt-driven compliance, you need to investigate directly rather than living in the uncertainty, because the uncertainty is often more psychologically damaging than knowing. The factors that kill female desire, even when it existed. Let's talk about the additional factors that suppress female sexuality, even in women who are capable of it and who are attracted to you at some point. Because understanding these helps you diagnose what specifically went wrong, got performance anxiety and adequacy fears. Yes, women experience this too. The woman who has gained significant weight, who has had children and her body has changed, who compares herself to younger women or to the idealized bodies in media, she may avoid sex because she feels inadequate. She's afraid you're comparing her to some standard she can't meet. She's self-conscious about her body in ways that make vulnerability impossible. This is often made catastrophically worse if you've given her evidence that supports her fear, if you've commented on other women's bodies in ways that highlight what she's not, if you watch porn featuring women who look nothing like her, if you've made comments about her weight gain or body changes. All this confirms her worst fear. You're not attracted to her anymore, so why should she offer herself for your pity sex? Emotional distance and lack of intimacy. Women's sexuality is substantially more connected to emotional intimacy than men's sexuality. A man can want sex with a woman he's currently angry at or distant from. A woman generally cannot. If she feels emotionally disconnected, if you're not talking, not sharing, not connected as partners, her sexual desire shuts down because the emotional foundation that sexuality requires is absent. This creates a vicious cycle. The lack of sex creates distance, and the distance kills sexual desire, which creates more distance. Breaking this cycle requires rebuilding emotional intimacy first, which is difficult when both partners are hurt and resentful. Replacement coping mechanisms. Many women replace the pleasure and comfort they used to derive from sex with other sources of dopamine and emotional regulation. Food, shopping, social media, prescription medications, wine. These become the mechanisms through which she manages stress, finds pleasure, regulates emotion. And once these replacement mechanisms are established, sex becomes unnecessary. She's getting her needs met elsewhere. Resentment and unresolved conflict. If there are ongoing issues in the relationship that she feels haven't been addressed or resolved, if she's carrying resentment about your behavior, about household labor distribution, about feeling unheard or disrespected, that resentment is poison to sexual desire. She cannot make herself vulnerable and open to you sexually when she's angry at you or feels like you've failed her in other domains. Women don't compartmentalize the way men do. A man can be in conflict with his wife about finances and still want sex with her that evening. A woman cannot. If she's upset with you about anything, sexual desire disappears until the upset is resolved. What you can actually do about it, so you've diagnosed what type of dead bedroom you're in. You understand the factors suppressing her desire. Now what? Here's what can actually help. And when strategy 1, identify what attracted her initially and assess whether it's changed. What did she find most attractive about you when you met? Your confidence, your physical fitness, your humor, your ambition, your protectiveness, your social status. Whatever it was, has it changed? If you've let yourself go physically, gained significant weight, stopped grooming, dressed like you've given up, and physical attraction was important to her, that's fixable. Get back in shape. Dress well, groom properly, look like a man who values himself enough to maintain himself. If you've become passive, weak, indecisive, and she was attracted to your masculine leadership, that's addressable. Reassert yourself. Make decisions. Lead. Stop seeking her permission for everything. Act like a man who has agency in his own life. If you've become boring, predictable, safe, and she was attracted to your edge, your humor, your spontaneity, bring that back. Do interesting things. Pursue interests. Be someone who has a life beyond her in the marriage. But here's the hard truth. If what attracted her initially was your earning potential, or your willingness to commit, or your utility as a provider, and that hasn't changed, if you're still doing everything you did before but she's still not interested sexually, then the attraction was never about you as a man. It was about what you could provide. And once she secured that provision, the motivation to maintain the sexual performance disappeared. If that's the case, there is nothing you can fix, because the problem is not you. The problem is that she was never genuinely attracted to you and the marriage was transactional from the beginning. Strategy 2. Withdraw the benefits she's receiving to create scarcity. If she's gotten comfortable receiving everything you provide, financial stability, emotional support, household contribution, your consistent presence and labor, while providing nothing sexual in return, she needs to understand that benefits are reciprocal. This sounds manipulative. It's not. It's enforcing basic reciprocity. She's already being manipulative by taking everything while giving nothing. You're just restoring balance. This looks like, not really interested in paying bills for a roommate, or I don't have energy for household projects. I seem to have lost my motivation, or I'm going to start pursuing hobbies and spending time on things that actually make me happy since this relationship doesn't. You're not threatening, you're not ultimatuming, you're simply matching her energy. She's not investing in the relationship sexually, you're not investing in it in other ways. Let her experience what it feels like when the benefits she takes for granted start to disappear. This often creates a wake-up call. She realizes, oh, his contribution wasn't unconditional. If I want him to continue providing everything he provides, I need to provide something he values too. Strategy 3. Change your sexual approach entirely. If you've been subtle, indirect, tentative in your sexual advances, try being direct, assertive, dominant. If you've been direct and aggressive, try being subtle, seductive, patient. Many dead bedrooms are maintained partly because the approach to sex has become routine and predictable. She knows when you're going to initiate. She knows what it will look like. She knows the entire script. And that predictability makes it easy to anticipate and avoid. Change the script. Initiate at different times. Use different approaches. Create scenarios that don't fit the pattern she's developed resistance to. This won't create attraction where none exists, but it might bypass habitual rejection if the rejection was partly about routine rather than genuine lack of desire. Strategy 4. Have the direct, vulnerable conversation if she's capable of it. Ask her directly, what would make you more interested in having a sexual relationship with me? What's missing? What needs to change? What do you need from me that you're not getting? If she's a decent person who actually cares about the relationship, this conversation can be productive. She'll tell you. And if what she tells you is reasonable, if it's about emotional connection or about feeling desired rather than used, or about specific behaviors that turn her off, you can address it. But if she's not a decent person, if she uses this conversation to shame you, to list your inadequacies cruelly, to make you feel broken or insufficient or pathetic for even wanting sex, then you have your answer about who you're married to. And that answer is someone who doesn't respect you, doesn't care about your needs, and is using your vulnerability as a weapon against you. If that's the case, the conversation confirmed that this marriage is irretrievably broken, not because of the sex, because of her contempt for you. Strategy 5, improve yourself in the domains that matter to her. If she values physical fitness and you've let yourself go, start working out. If she values social status and you've become a hermit, build a social life. If she values competence and you've become passive, develop skills, take on projects, demonstrate capability. This is not about changing yourself to please her. This is about becoming the best version of yourself and seeing whether that version reignites attraction that's dormant rather than dead. The key is, you do this for you first. You become fit because you want to be fit. You develop socially because you want those connections. You build competence because it serves your life. And if, as a secondary effect, she becomes more attracted to that improved version of you, great. If she doesn't, at least you're a better version of yourself when you leave, when nothing will work, recognizing the unfixable. Here's what you need to understand. Clearly, some dead bedrooms are unfixable, not because you didn't try hard enough, not because you didn't use the right techniques, but because the fundamental problem is that she's not attracted to you and never genuinely was, or because the damage to the relationship is too deep to reverse. Signs that your dead bedroom is unfixable: she shows no sexual desire for you, but you have evidence she's sexual with someone else. This is not a libido problem. This is an I'm not attracted to you problem combined with infidelity. You cannot fix this. You can only decide whether you'll tolerate it. You've made substantial improvements to yourself physically, professionally, behaviorally, and her sexual interest remains at 0. If you've done everything in your power to become more attractive and her response hasn't changed, the problem is not fixable through your efforts. She's either incapable of desire or incapable of desire for you specifically. She uses conversations about sex to shame, belittle, or humiliate you rather than to problem solve together. This is contempt. And contempt is terminal for relationships. You cannot rebuild attraction with someone who treats you with contempt. She has explicitly told you she's not attracted to you and doesn't see that changing. Believe her. She's giving you critical information. Don't waste years trying to prove her wrong. The relationship has other fundamental problems: lack of respect, poor communication, ongoing conflict, that make the sexual issue just one symptom of a comprehensively broken partnership. You're not fixing a dead bedroom. You're trying to resuscitate a dead marriage. If you recognize your situation in any of these descriptions, the honest answer is, this marriage is over in any meaningful sense. You can stay in it out of obligation, fear, financial considerations, or concern for children. But you cannot fix it into something that actually serves you. And the question becomes, how many more years are you willing to live this way? Final thoughts. The dead bedroom is not a small problem you fix with date nights and lingerie. It's a diagnostic indicator that something fundamental is broken in the relationship. Either she was never genuinely attracted to you and the marriage was transactional, or she was attracted and something about you or the relationship killed that attraction, or she's redirecting her sexuality elsewhere. Understanding which of these is true requires honest assessment that most men avoid because the answer is too painful to confront. But living in a sexless marriage without understanding why is even more painful. It destroys your self-esteem, your sense of worth, your ability to feel like a man. You deserve better than that. You deserve to either understand the problem clearly so you can fix it, or to recognize that it's unfixable and make different decisions about your life. Don't spend another decade living in confusion and rejection. Use the diagnostic questions in this video. Identify what type of dead bedroom you're in. Try the strategies that are appropriate to your situation, and if none of them work, recognize that the problem is not you being inadequate. The problem is that you're in a relationship that cannot give you what you need, and you're allowed to leave relationships that don't serve you. Drop a comment with your experience if you're willing to share it. This is one of the loneliest experiences men have because they suffer through it in silence. Knowing you're not alone matters. Subscribe because this channel will continue addressing the painful realities of modern relationships that nobody else is willing to discuss honestly. Stay healthy, and remember, your sexual needs are legitimate. They're not optional extras. They're fundamental to your well-being.